Hi, hello. I hope this video finds you well. My name is Susie, and I like to hear myself talk. I have been on Reddit for a very long time, partially because I was in engineering college, and it was kind of just what you did. But I stayed on Reddit all these years because I'm nosy. And Reddit is a great place to learn about people's business when you're completely removed from it. Like, I don't know any of these people, but I know all of their business, and I love that. It is the perfect place to be a nosy person. You've got, am I the a-hole? You've got, am I overreacting? Relationship advice, am I the devil? Even things like Ask Reddit. There's so many places to get up in so many people's business and learn so much about them, and it is so much fun when you're a nosy bitch like I am. One of my favorite places on Reddit, though, is r/BestOfRedditorUpdates. And if you're not sure what that is, it's a place where other users will compile posts that have updates and list them all out so you don't have to go through the person's, like the original OP's account and find all of them. It's all just compiled for you. So if there's ever a post that has an update, whether it's like a big life-changing update or if it's just, progression of the story, it's going to be on Best of Redditor Updates. And it is so fun. There are so many wild stories on Best of Redditor Updates. And I don't see a lot of people covering it, which is kind of sad because sometimes the updates genuinely are the best part of a post. And that's why I love this subreddit so much, is because all the updates are just compiled right there for you. So I've picked a couple of posts from Best of Redditor Updates. I went through the top of all time and the top of the last year to find some where the update was either really interesting or it completely shifted the tone of the story. So we're going to go through those today. If you end up liking this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, all of that creator nonsense, but we will just jump right into it. So the first post that we have is a short one, but it was really, really high up on the top of all time, so I'm very intrigued by it. OOP, which stands for Original OP, because the person posting this on Best of Redditor Updates is the OP of the Best of Redditor Updates post, but the original OP is the person who posted the actual post on the initial subreddit. Does that make sense? So OOP is original OP. Original poster. Oh, it makes sense, I promise. You'll get used to it. OOP's boyfriend won't stop telling her that she smells bad. There's a trigger warning for negging. I mean, yeah, he's telling her that she smells bad. But anyway, the original was by u/throw-ra Doinstink, and this was in relationship advice. I have been with my boyfriend for over a year, and everything has been great except for one thing. Every single day, at least once, he will tell me that I stink and smell of BO. Body odor. When we met, I showered every day, applied regular deodorant in the morning, brushed my teeth 3 times a day. Now I am so paranoid about smelling bad that I shower at least twice a day. I apply new industrial strength deodorant every few hours. I have a reminder on my phone, perfume, and I brush my teeth anytime I eat or drink something that isn't water. That is dedication to the craft. That's a lot. I mean, good for you, I guess. If I know some people genetically just have a harder time with body odor, but that's some dedication. I feel like I'm going crazy. I didn't think I smelled bad in the beginning, and I don't think I smell bad now, but I obviously smell bad to him, right? I'm that weirdo that keeps sneakily smelling their own armpits. I've been there, queen. I have been to the doctor, and he has said there's nothing medically wrong. It has honestly gotten to the point where I literally shove my armpit in my friends' and family's face asking if I smell bad. They all say I don't smell like BO at all. One friend even said I smelled too clean like a Lush store. I am getting so paranoid. He won't cuddle or anything when he says I smell. I really don't know. What more can I do? That is a very weird situation to be in. I mean, your family and friends aren't telling you that you smell bad. I wish I smelled like a Lush store. What does Lush smell like? It smells like everything, but it also has such a specific scent. I think it must be the lemongrass. I think my guess is the lemongrass. But I mean, that must be horrible to feel like you have to do all that. Continuing. Update. So unexpected edit. I waited for him to make a comment this morning so I could talk to him. It was less than an hour after waking up that he said, "God, you stink." Jesus. I had already showered and put on deodorant. I snapped and asked exactly what he was smelling because at this point I'm one of the cleanest people on the planet, and if I still smell bad to him, then we should just break up. He got all panicked and upset. I eventually got out of him that this is what his father always said to his mother. Apparently, his father told him that it was a surefire technique to have a woman never leave you because she will feel too low to cheat, will only love you, and will always be clean.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell.
Excuse me? Needless to say, his father is wrong. He's packing his things and moving out of my house today. Good. What the fuck? So this guy's dad told him the best way to keep a woman is to make her feel so bad about herself that she'll never leave you because she thinks she stinks? Freak behavior. That is so bizarre and that is so fucked up and misogynistic. I can't Let's see what the comments say. Hey son, you know the woman who gave you life and brought you into this world and probably loves you more than you could ever comprehend? Here's how I dehumanize her so she sticks around. You should try with your girlfriends. Honestly, that is so, I feel so bad for the mom. The mom's still with the dad. That poor woman. She spent her whole life thinking that she smells bad. That is insane behavior. That is crazy. This comment's really real too. Yeah, this post horrified me at the time and still does, because what sort of son sees his father treating his mom this way and thinks the dad is right? My dad treated my mom like shit growing up, and even as a kid raised in that environment, I knew he was wrong. Yeah, I feel so bad for everybody associated with this father. He sounds like he needs to get mental help yesterday. The son for thinking that this is normal behavior. The mom for putting up with it for all this time. Terrifying. Terrifying and upsetting. The next story. OOP is gifted laser tattoo removal by her mother-in-law. This was originally posted by u/onefudge3629 on r/justknowmil. Another great subreddit. That is where people post their horror stories about their mother-in-laws, and I would love to go over that sometime. So if you'd be interested in that, let me know, because Just Know MIL is so underrated and it's so messed up. There are some crazy people out there. So the original post. Just found this subreddit and had to share this story. My husband, 43 male, and I, 31 female, have been married for 3 years, together for 6. I was just about to mention, but obviously there's an age gap between my husband and I, which has never been an issue for us. I will say the fact that, let's see, they've been married for 3 years, together for 6. So they got together when he was 36 and she was 25. I'm not in love with that age gap, but they said it works for them, so I guess that's good. I mean, at least she was like a full established adult when they met, so sure. Obviously, there's an age gap between my husband and I, which has never been an issue for us. My mother-in-law, however, that's what MIL stands for, has always greatly disapproved and likes to talk to me like I'm a rebellious teenager instead of her son's life partner. A big issue for her is the fact that I have tattoos. I have the same problem. I have lots of tattoos. Fortunately, so does my partner. I love all my tattoos. They are well done and a huge part of my identity. I can't imagine myself without them, and my husband loves how they look on me. Mother-in-law made a few comments while we were dating, but my husband told her privately to drop it. Good man. 3 years ago, my husband and I hosted our families for my birthday dinner. It was our first big get-together after getting married, and everyone was nice enough to bring me a gift. I was going to open them after everyone left, but mother-in-law handed me an envelope at the dinner table and insisted I open it immediately. Not good immediately. Not good right off the bat. Inside was a card and a gift certificate to a local tattoo removal business for $500. Ugh. I was confused and asked her what this was for. She said that since I was a married woman now and planning to have kids, she assumed I would want my tattoos removed. This just in, having tattoos affects your ability to have children. Both my husband and I were kind of taken aback and stunned. I half-heartedly thanked her and the party continued. Later, my husband called her and told her off. Good man. He insisted she take it back and get her money back. She absolutely refused and insisted I would want it someday. 3 years later, her $500 is still sitting in my kitchen junk drawer, and I've added 3 more tattoos to the collection. Good for you. Good for your husband. That's the end of the original post. Good for your husband for telling off his mom. A lot of times these Just Know MIL stories tend to have boy moms, and the husband in the story tends to not hold his mother accountable for her really shitty garbage behavior. So good for your husband for telling his mother off. Kudos to him. I like him for that. That is a very bizarre present to get someone, and especially the fact that she made you open it at the dinner table, like almost pressuring you to do it because now everyone sees that, you know, you have this, so if you don't have any tattoos removed, you're slighting her. I don't know what the mentality is behind that. And also, $500 for tattoo removal is like nothing. Tattoo removal takes multiple sessions, especially if you have like heavy line work. It takes multiple sessions, and the sessions are not cheap, and they're also really painful. It is a very lengthy process, and $500 is not going to cut it for more than maybe one kind of small-ish tattoo. Let me Google real quick. Let's see. Laser tattoo removal cost. So somebody posted on r/tattoo removal. It's a tiny triangle, maybe like a centimeter in diameter. They were quoted $790 to remove it and were asking if that's a fair price. Somebody replied, removal's super expensive. The tattoo I'm getting removed cost me $400. Removing it cost $1,900. So they said that their tattoo is the size of a credit card in black ink. That is so expensive. So $500 wouldn't even remove like a square centimeter. This mom is not only being an asshole, but also being delusional. So here's the update. Sorry, I forgot that there's, updates to these posts. Update. Thank you so much for all the great suggestions on what to to do with the gift certificate. I actually have a friend who is the director of a restorative justice organization. I asked her if she had any clients with hate symbols they would like removed, and it turns out she works with a guy who has a swastika on his arm that he hides every day because he's so ashamed. This is particularly significant and powerful for me because I'm Jewish. Anyway, I'm dropping it off today, and I'm really pleased that something that started as a disrespectful slight from my mother-in-law turned into this. Thank you, Reddit. That's really sweet. To the OOP, I am so sorry that your mother-in-law sucks so bad, but the fact that you're donating that money to somebody who genuinely wants to get their tattoo removed, especially a hate tattoo, perfect way to end this story. Your mother-in-law's insane. Your husband is good because he's yelling at your insane mother-in-law, and now you get to help somebody erase a part of their past that they're ashamed of. Happy ending. We love to see it. The next story is another tattoo story titled "My Coworker Won't Stop Complaining About My Tattoos." Originally posted to Ask a Manager. I didn't even know that was a subreddit. That's why I love this place so much. There's an Ask a Manager subreddit. I love it. There's literally a subreddit for everything, and it is the best thing ever. Total side note, but I was looking for a new vacuum, and I found a whole subreddit for just vacuum shopping, and it was life-changing. I love that Reddit provides a place for people with really particular interests to come and just info dump. Like, who knew that there would be so much about vacuums? I didn't know that there was so much that could possibly go into vacuum shopping, and now I know, and I love that I can just know that now. The trigger warnings for this one are hostile work environment, body shaming, and verbal abuse. The mood spoiler is shocking but ultimately positive. We'll take that. So the original post was June 3rd, 2019, and it was posted by... This is not a Reddit story. This is askamanager.org. Okay, so I went on that whole rant about subreddits for nothing. I started a new job in December. Carol started in February. We work for a small company with 6 of us in production. We're not customer facing in any way. Carol was fine with me until the weather warmed up and I wore short sleeves, at which point she discovered that I have tattoos. She took me aside that same day to tell me how unprofessional she thought I was for having them.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I could go on another rant, but I'm not going to. I pointed out that workplace norms are changing in general and that our particular workplace doesn't care. It didn't matter, they were unprofessional, and that was that. For reference, we're both women in our 50s. Carol is actually 8 months younger than I am. I'm not the only one with ink, but I am the only woman, and the shipping guys are in another building, so she probably doesn't realize both of them do too. Since then, she has spoken to me repeatedly about them, and when I refused to engage, I started with a briskly cheerful, "So you've said, I disagree," then "You've said, and I'm not talking about this anymore," and I'm now just ignoring her, muttering. She's taken to talking to herself about it. Okay, queen. She's also gone to 3 of coworkers to complain about them. Those ladies are all senior to us, but beyond keeping an eye on the production schedule, they are not supervisory in any way. We think she'd like me to cover them, but she knows she doesn't have the standing to say that, and I don't have any reason to. They're not offensive. One set is flowers, the other is a geometric-ish paisley, and no one here cares. I'm dreading summer. This is an elderly building and poorly air-conditioned, and I'm told tank tops and shorts are the norm. She's really going to be wound out when she figures out that the gauntlets she dislikes so much are actually full sleeves, plus the edges of a few others that will show. Our HR person is very part-time and mostly for onboarding/benefit type things. I can go to our owner, who I think would be responsive, but his feels like something I should be able to handle on my own, and so far I'm having no luck. Can you provide any advice on one last try script at shutting her down on the topic, or should I just go straight to boss lady? So I don't know what the Ask a Manager person replied with, but we have an update from June 27th, 2019, 3 weeks later. So the situation with Carol has been resolved. I actually spoke to her the same day you posted my letter. I ran into her in the break room and she started in again. I interrupted her and said, "That's enough. I have asked you politely and now I'm telling you, stop commenting on my tattoos. They don't come off. I'm not going to cover them and they're not against the rules. Your obsession with my skin is really weird and I don't appreciate it. This is the last conversation I intend to have with you about this." Good for you. That's the other thing that I don't understand. First of all, tattoos don't make you unprofessional. They just make you a person with tattoos. And secondly, people complaining about them, you know they don't come off. Right? Like, they're permanent. Yes, you can cover them up, but complaining about someone's tattoos, what are they going to do? Take a cheese grater to their skin? No, like, they don't come off. You can complain about them all you want, but they're staying there. I genuinely don't understand why people are so offended by them. Anyway, she was pretty taken aback that I thought she was being weird, but I didn't give her the chance to keep going. I just went back to work. She didn't speak to or about me for the rest of the week. By next week, she had settled on stilted, pass the salt style conversation, but only if it was a group thing. She still wouldn't speak to me personally. Since we don't work on the same projects, it didn't have any impact on my workflow, so I was okay with the chilly silence. It beat the nagging for sure. Then we went on site to do an installation. We were warned that we would be hot and cramped and to dress in layers we could shed. Of course, the inevitable inevitable happened. Carol and I ended up on different teams, and when we met for the mid-morning team swap, most of us were down to a tank top, me included. Carol got one look and flipped out. Oh my god. She berated me about my lack of professionalism in someone else's workplace and caused enough of a ruckus that Jane came to see what was going on. Carol went off on Jane about my continued and blatant lack of professionalism, but Jane shut her down pretty sharply. The teams were reshuffled as planned, and Carol got put on Jane's team. Apparently, she took that as an invitation to keep going and asked Jane why she hired me, then why she tolerated me. Jane's answer, I hired her for her skill, not her skin. Jane made B my new favorite boss. Jane is my new favorite boss. Then she, Carol, accused Jane of a lack of professionalism for doing so. Girl, what is your damage with tattoos? What is this about? Did you get like sucker punched by someone with tattoos and you've been holding a grudge about it for 20 years? Oh my god. About an hour after the team swap, Joe, the other owner, came in the company car with the HR lady on her day off, and took Carol back to the workshop. She apparently stewed all the way back or read the handwriting on the wall, and when they got back, she got out of the car, declared that she couldn't continue to work for such an unprofessional organization, that she had her own reputation to look after, even if we didn't care about ours, got in her car and left. That was the last we've seen of her, although there has been a scathing review posted to Glassdoor since then. Girl. What? The next day, Jane had individual meetings with all of us, and the day after that, a workroom staff meeting. We, myself, and 3 senior ladies that Carol had gone to complain were chastised for letting it go as far as it did, without giving Jane a heads up, even if it was a this is a thing but I'm handling it warning. Go Jane! Go Jane! The senior-most worker pointed out that none of them really had any power to do anything, and that has now changed. There is now a designated workroom supervisor and an end of the week how are things check-in between that person and Jane. The workroom is a much calmer place now, and interviews for Carol's replacement start next week. Also, a formal tattoo, piercings, hair color policy is being added to our employee handbook. Basically, anything goes as long as it's safe to have around machinery and not offensive. All in all, it's been a learning experience for all of us, I think. Thank you for your advice. I really appreciate the framework for my response to Carol. We stay standing, Jane. That is so unexpected from an owner of a company and a boss, because you would think that they would just fire them and brush it off or whatever. But the fact that she made so many changes to the workplace, changing the handbook, designating an entire new supervisor to approach with any problems at the end of the week. Jane, I love you. Jane, you are the girl boss. Let's see what the comments say. What a weird hill to die on. Yeah, that is, for Carol, that is such an odd, like, you don't even want to work around people with tattoos. That is crazy behavior. I genuinely do not understand why people have such damage with tattoos. I guess maybe the older generation is just used to seeing it on people who they consider less than them, or maybe there's like a prison association. But I mean, people have been getting tattoos and not having it be like gang affiliated or anything for decades now. Maybe back in like ancient Greece, people would have a problem with it, but I don't get it. I very tentatively try to give grace sometimes when it's like one of those older generation things, like, oh, they didn't grow up with it. But if this person is in their 50s and this was posted 21 days ago, the original post was 2019. That means that the person was in their 50s in 2019. So they were presumably born in like the 60s. Let's see. Tattoos in the 70s. So it looks like in the 60s and 70s, tattoos were still having that like negative connotation. But this person was presumably born in the late 60s to early 70s. So they grew up at a time when tattoos were becoming a lot more accepted and were in like their teens and 20s when it was becoming really, really common, like in the 80s and 90s. What's your damage, queen? What? And also, side note, I get really tired of they're from a different generation. I don't care. So was I. So was literally everybody. You grow up, life changes, the world changes. Change with it. The last post that we're going to read was a post from Am I the Asshole titled AITA for not wanting my husband to go to his ex's funeral plus update. The trigger warning for this is funerals, death, and divorce. Divorce. So the original was by you/AITA husband dead ex. So this was probably a throwaway account, and it was in December of 2022. And here's what OP said. I'll admit I'm biased right off the bat. I couldn't stand her. Okay. I call her his ex to myself and others. He called her his friend. We're all in our early 40s. She died recently, aneurysm. I've been with him for 10 years now, but he'd known her for 20 plus. The way he tells it, they were friends in college, decided to date, got married, then realized they weren't a great couple and decided to just be friends. All of that happened years before I met him. He was clear early on that she was important. A couple months into dating, it came up that his friend was actually his ex-wife. He explained the above to me, saying she was one of his closest friends and that it was purely platonic. I expressed some discomfort at him being so close to an ex, and he told me that's fine. If you have a serious issue with it, let me know now and save us some time. I'll choose her. I like you and all, but I've known her for over 12 years and she's one of the most important people in my life. You'll have to be okay with that if you want us to be a thing. Good for him. I personally don't have a problem with being on good terms with your ex or continuing to be friends with them. I'm still very good friends with one of my exes. Sometimes you try dating, or I guess in this case, get married and realize that you're better off as friends and you just go back to being friends, and there's nothing wrong with that. You tried something and it didn't work, but good for this guy right off the bat. Good for him for saying, I will choose her over you. He was very clear, and she said that this was a couple months into dating. Good for him for making that very clear very early on and setting his expectations. I appreciate him for that. When we were engaged, I asked again. He gave me this perplexed look and asked, why would us getting married affect my friendships? I sucked it up and went along. Okay, so this girl has a problem with it, but she's not okay, I'm going to continue reading. I sucked it up and went along. I resented every moment of knowing her, especially when we had to be social. She understood some part of him I couldn't. Her husband was friends with mine as well, so it's not like I could use him as an angle. He'd have lunch with the ex, they'd go to geeky movies and whatever. The few times I brought it up, he said, we've had this conversation before, you had your chance to back out. Period. She died after they had lunch the other day on the way to her car. He spent a bunch of time crying, but honestly, I was relieved. Ew. He was working with her husband on funeral planning. I told him, you don't think you're going, do you? Ew. My argument summed up, she's dead. My argument summed up, she's dead, so she's not a factor anymore. He doesn't get to use his she's my friend excuse since she doesn't exist anymore. He had his cry for a couple days. He gets to be done with mourning her already. There's no need for him to go to her funeral since I wouldn't want her at his. He was the angriest I've ever seen him when I told him that, replying that he'll be going no matter how I feel and that he's willing to burn this to the fucking ground while holding up his wedding band. Besides you, she was the closest friend in my life. Him, her husband, and sisters are all calling me an insensitive asshole over this, all saying that there was no romantic aspect to their relationship and that I'm heartless. Her husband went so far as to calling me a ghoul for how I've reacted. I've never felt their relationship was appropriate, and I hid that for years because I wanted to be with my husband. Now that she's gone, I don't feel I should have to hide it anymore and can speak freely. Am I the asshole for just wanting him to be done with her and for him to not attend the funeral? The person posting this on Best of Redditor Updates lets us know that OOP is deemed the asshole and is considered heartless by all. Bro! The fact that they're posting this and they're clearly trying to be the sympathetic one, how can you be so not self-aware and not realize that you're the bad person in this situation? His friend died in front of him and all he wants to do is go to her funeral. Oh, this makes me mad on so many levels. This one is pissing me off so fucking bad. He was so clear from the beginning. You, OOP, didn't say anything. You sucked it up because you wanted to be with him. Did you really want to be with him? Because it seems like there was a very big part of his life that you didn't agree with. So why did you want to be with him if you didn't like this woman who was such a significant part of his life? Go date someone else. And then they got engaged and oh my God. This is infuriating. Absolutely. The fact that this person has so little self-awareness that they are not able to see that they're the bad person and they had to make an Am I the Asshole post. And you just know that they didn't accept that judgment. They're like, none of you understand. You suck. You suck and you're a terrible person. I hope the ghost of this woman haunts you. So we have an update on the post r/2x chromosomes, which I don't follow it, but I believe it's kind of a subreddit that's just typically a women's space, but I also know that they're not like an exclusive space. They're pretty clear about their stance on trans women being women and that you don't actually need the 2X chromosomes. I don't know the history of it, but this is essentially a subreddit for women's perspective on things. And that's where our horrible person OOP posted. And here's what she said. We've been together for 10 years, but he's choosing to end all of that because of how I reacted to his ex-wife's death. They were friends when we met and his claim that they dated and gotten married while they were young and dumb, before realizing they worked better as friends than as a couple. He told me that if I wanted a relationship with him, I needed to accept she'd always be a part of his life. He'd do things like go to geek movies with her and her husband. They'd do tabletop gaming, all of which I found boring. I'm sorry, I'm going to continue reading the post, but you said that you stuck with this guy because you wanted to marry him, but you don't like one of his best friends. You don't like any of the things that he finds interesting. You seem really hung up on this whole geek movies thing. Why do you like this guy? Let him be with someone that actually likes him. Anyway, he and I had a mostly happy marriage, I thought, but I had to deal with her presence and pretending she and her husband were friends. I hated her, and when she died, I was relieved. I didn't want him going to the funeral, saying now she was out of his life, he was done with her. I was called cold and callous for wanting to put my foot down. Yes, he went to the funeral, which I was very uncomfortable with. I asked him not to go again, and he just gave me this cold, expressionless stare. She was cremated, and my husband was given a little bit of her ashes in a small urn the size of a pill bottle. I told him it was creepy to have them, and he flipped me the bird. This is the most bitter bitch I think I've ever read about on Reddit. Like, I've read a lot of posts where a lot of people are assholes, but this might be the most bitter asshole I've ever read about. The past month plus of my life has been a nightmare because of her dying. My husband has barely talked to me, good, and I've received texts from nearly all of our friends and family calling me a monster, good, all because someone saw my original post on Reddit and shared it with everyone they could, even people at my job, good. Many of the posts here were nice in comparison to the things the people I thought were my friends said, good. I was just out of town for several days on a work trip. On Friday, I came home to a partly empty house, his car gone, and a petty sounding letter saying that we would be getting a divorce. Nice! Go guy. Good for you. Not that he wanted one, that it was going to happen. He'd already filed. He said that my post was one of the most hurtful things he's ever read and that my jealousy of his friendship was insane. He wrote, I fucking watched her die. She was walking by my side when it happened. I have nightmares about it. He said I'd be keeping the house because I don't want to spend every morning waking up to a reminder of the years of lies that was our marriage. He left a list of what he's taking, saying I can keep the rest. His last line was, if it'd been me instead of her, she would have been there for you in an instant. Remember that. Ooh, and I bet she hated that too. I learned he's staying with her husband because that man sent me a long text telling me to stay away from his home and he regretted ever letting me into his life. Good. My own sister, oh shit. My own sister said if she learned I was dating someone, she'd fill him in on what a black-hearted cunt I am. God. I love everyone in this story except OOP. Your sister calling you a black-hearted cunt is the funniest thing. So yeah, my husband is divorcing me because of his first wife's death. No, he's divorcing you because you are a terrible... Oh my God, this person is so not self-aware. I'm actually angry. She's more important to him, and it seems to our friends, than keeping our marriage together is. She's screwing up my life even from the grave. Good for her. I cannot believe this person is so... You are not getting divorced because of this woman. You're getting... Well, I mean, you are. But you're not getting divorced because of his first wife's death. You're getting divorced because of your reaction to the death of one of his best friends. The fact that she keeps mentioning first wife, even though they clearly got divorced just because they were like, we're better as friends. Oh my God. I cannot believe the lack of self-awareness. I wish that the person who posted this on Best of Redditor Updates had posted some of the comments that were on the 2X chromosome subreddit, because I would love to see this person get reamed. Hold on, let me see. No, I can't access it. Let's see if there's any comments. Whenever someone's own sympathetic account of events makes them look like a complete asshole, you have to wonder how much worse it actually was. That's real. Telling, I think she casually drops right in the middle of her update that her husband was with his friend when she died and is clearly traumatized by it. Christ, suspect the funeral wasn't the only reason OOP's husband left. Yeah. Let's see if there's any interesting comments here. It looks like everyone on Best of Redditor Updates is also just reaming this person. This is a really interesting comment. We're all understandably caught up on how heartless OOP is, but can we talk about how breathtakingly stupid she is? She played nice for over a decade, put her cruelty aside to keep her husband happy, and she could continue that for just a little longer. She didn't even have to pretend to be sad about the ex's death, just be sad that her husband was suffering. That's it. Just support him through his suffering like a spouse is meant to do. She was prepared to put aside her hatred of this woman for the rest of her life and tolerate their friendship. Surely it would be easier to tolerate comforting him when he grieves in the future than it was for her to tolerate them catching up often. She fucked up her whole life because she was too stupid to realize she had to continue hiding her feelings. That's really funny and also really true. Like, if you're gonna be a bad person, just be good at being a bad person. They did it for 10 years. Why did they not? Crazy. Well, On that horrible note, I'm gonna go lay on the floor face down for 20 minutes in disbelief that people like this exist, but also then I'm gonna get up and eat some Oreos in joy of the fact that everybody seems to know that this is a terrible, terrible, terrible person. I love it. I love when people get what's coming to them. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this, if you have any subreddits you'd like me to go through or any specific posts you want me to cover, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.